Good afternoon and welcome to Bophelong, a place of hope. I am your host, Puleng Molebatsi. The first of this month was observed as World AIDS Day, and so here in South Africa, the month of December is HIV Awareness Month. Today we bring you the story that aims to change the image of HIV and AIDS in Africa, from a picture of the sick and dying to a story of hope. Meet Ntimbo Mpamba and hear the emotional yet inspiring story that he has to share.
It was 1982 in Zambia when Ntimbo was born, at a time when the African continent was for the first time feeling the wrath of HIV and AIDS, with very little knowledge of what the virus really was.
I was born on the 12th of December in the year 1982. I was the last of 5 kids and I was the biggest of the babies. But at one point in my life, I got to start losing weight and I joined the world of vitamins. But I was always told that they were sweets by my mother, but I never mistook them to say, because they're always in sachets. And when you see sweets on TV and sachets, like, wow, these are very nice. And I really loved them because some of them were bitter, others were a bit chewable. So, I had no question to ask.
Although it was something that was never spoken about in his family, his mother was seemingly the only person that knew what was wrong with his health.
She knew and tried to play along with the situation, say, okay, fine, you'll be okay, and as long as you take this, you'll be okay. But every time I started taking those medication, I got better. So all my life was thrown into her. Say she's the one who knows what to do, because she was a nutritionist by profession, and she always came home with medication. She was a nurse, so who was I not to trust her? I was just eating a balanced diet. I would be fed. I was always on greens, vegetables. Like I would not have relish until I had vegetables. It was a rule to say, if you don't eat your veggies, you won't eat meat. I was segregated, say, the special child who, I saw myself as a very important person, say, like, I was always put aside, so I considered that to say, wow, who am I to be given so much leverage? Say, I'm the king, I'm the person who calls the shots. When I want something, I get it, but all in all, it was just a way of keeping me away from the truth.
After moving to South Africa as an adult with his family, the truth began to seep through.
From the time I moved from Mother Zambia, I came to South Africa to stay with my sister, my older sister, who was married. But in the festive season, you get Christmas presents, but my present was like a cough that wouldn't go away, because I tried out all kinds of medications, from the cough mixtures to the herbal ones. But the more I drank, the worse the cough got, because it got to a point where every time I coughed, I would actually breathe in like there were bullet holes in my lungs. So I was referred to a private GP who, from the word go, said it was TB. I said, look, I had TB 3 times already. How can this thing be possible? It's like, no, there's always a TB relapse. So we took the TB tests and it was negative. Then I was forced to do an X-ray where they found that I had a quarter of a left lung, as in a very big patch in my lungs. So he asked me to say, what is this? I said, oh, is that like my heart? He said, no, your heart is below your lungs, just below the left lung. Like what he said, like it was a big patch in the X-ray to say you are surviving on 1.25 lung. And to him that was a never seen. And he had never seen it in 15 years of practice. He said, my viral load was beyond 1 million. That it was anonymous. And in an average person, it was non-existent. Then he said the average CD4 count of a person is 800 to 1,200. But mine was 36. Now that freaked me out so bad that I was blank. Even the rest of his voices did not make sense.
Ntimbo began taking his ARVs and his CD4 count went from 36 to 490 in 4 weeks. But taking the ARVs was no easy task.
I was excited.
In how long?
In like 4 weeks. I was excited to say I'm responding well to stage 1. There were 20 capsules per day. 10 in the morning, 10 in the evening.
It was only 7 years after being diagnosed as an adult that Ntimbo found out that he was born HIV positive. He heard from his aunt.
From 2005 to 2012, I wrote an article of my ups and downs of being an experiment on how I met 5 specialists. And then from there, I sent an article a soft copy to her, and she replied, said she always knew of my condition, and it was not of my wrongdoing, but a fault in reproduction. Now, when you add all those words together, you in a sense say that's why I spent most of my life in and out of hospital, and I was always the sickler child. I met the grave several times, but the grave didn't want me. I mean, yeah, I did see death several times.
Remember, we are always keen to hear from you. Email us bophelong@sabc.co.za and tweet at Bophelong Show. After the break, Ntimbo tells us about his story. Stay with us.
In Parliament, Higher Education and Training Minister Bladen Nzimande has conceded that the bursary scheme is not enough to meet the growing demand from students.
Funding for universities is not enough. We'll be open about that. We will continue to ask for more from government as a department.
We've always said that the NSFAS budget must be 16 billion rand and that no qualifying student must be prevented from studying just because they cannot afford to do so.
There's been concern about citrus exports to Europe and investment contracts.
There are more opportunities for us to sell sugar, wine, ethanol, some fruit products than we had before, and that could create jobs.
That's business news, weekdays at 6 p.m. on SABC News.
Zoom into Africa. This is the Kingdom of Lesotho. The leader is King Letsie III. The Kingdom of Lesotho attained full independence on 4th October in 1966. The population is more than 2 million people. One of the major languages spoken is English. Monetary unit is Maluti.
Welcome back to Bophelong, a place of hope. There are many myths that still exist about HIV and AIDS. For instance, some people believe that you can get HIV by breathing the same air as someone who is HIV positive, or by using the same eating utensils as someone that is infected. None of these are true, and Ntimbo has made it his mission to educate people about HIV and AIDS.
From 36 to 490, that's like, yippee! I mean, like, that's like, I'm the man. I'm gonna get to, because my focus was to get to 800, and I would say I'm healed, because I didn't understand the virus to a personal aspect. But I didn't know that it was actually a long journey to get to. I mean, I was more than halfway to 800, like just a little bit more. Then I started skipping, taking at my own time. Then I became resistant to the drugs. The more I took, the higher my viral load came going up, and my CV count dropped. And I was referred to 5 different specialists, from Olive Dale to Mill Park. I mean, all those guys were so shocked to say, okay, we'll try this and this and this, see if it works. Then the last one told me that go to Helen Joseph, where you don't pay anything, because I was paying cash. I was not on medical aid. Even medical aid could not afford to pay for my medication, because I was buying ARVs every single month. And they were so expensive that each and every time money was brought into the house, it was diverted to my medical bills.
Ntimbo recalls a time when he was truly scared for his life.
The time when I realized that I was a miracle was the time I got the letter. No, not really a miracle. It's the time the doctors said that I was going to be part of an experiment under the United I mean, I used to follow a lot of movies, say like there's this like guinea pig experiment. I mean, I saw myself as a famous guy, say I was going to be one of the first to be an experiment. I took famous in the wrong, because like, you mean I'm going to tell the story that I was a guinea pig? I mean, that's like a dream come true. Say, you watch a lot of TV, then you got to be the one who's going to be the guinea pig. I say like, wow, I'm famous, like, wow. But at the end of it all, I was famous for the wrong reasons, because I was going to be a tryout to say I can either live but I had no choice, because the private sector declared me as breadcrumbs. So with or without my permission, I was forced to either be a research or to go to the grave for the last and final time.
Through his life, he shares a message with others.
Who am I not to teach the rest? Say, guys, when it's 12-hour intervals, take your drugs. Whether you're at a party, whether you're at whatever, don't forget your ARVs, because once you forget, those guys will make use of your life. I've been labeled as a hero, but I think I'm a chosen. I mean, most people say I'm a hero, I'm the untold, so I mean, there's so many titles. Others say I'm a great leader. But all in all, I see myself as a person who was given so much to carry, but I never ended up, because at the age of, I think 6 or 7, I was playing church. Then a woman of God told me that I would be a blessing to others. But to that was like, come on, like, what is she talking about? But it was prophecy that was going to be revealed at a later stage.
Today, Ndimbwe is 32 years old and has lived with HIV for all that time. He's also founded the Ask Foundation with the aim of educating others about HIV and AIDS, and is working on his book that he hopes will hit the shelves next year.
The Ask Foundation is because I've realized that the mind is what builds a person's character. A, in the ask. I mean, ask is a request, it's a desire, it's a want. But before you ask, there are 3 things you gotta know. There's the A, which is the attitude, which creates the S, which is the skill, which produces the K, which is the knowledge that no one can ever take away from you. Why can't I write a book about how a secret that was kept from me saved my life? And it all started with one single line, and I added more and more, and it was done, and very soon it should be online. By next year, it should be out on the bookshelves.
He stands by his view that he doesn't give people solutions to problems, but instead gives people tools to overcome challenges simply by giving them the hard facts.
People don't understand the virus, because most people think it's a manageable disease, but that's just the straight line. But when you read the T's and C's, it's a manageable, different kind of lifestyle. People don't understand, say, HIV is a lifestyle. Once it becomes part of you, it does not get out. Most people think you can get rid of it, but you can't, because it lives in your cells.
A happy belated birthday to Ndimbwe, who celebrated his 32nd birthday just yesterday. After the break, we hear what is expected of us on World AIDS Day and on HIV Awareness Month. Do not move.
A huge part of this African growth is technological innovation. Governments here are working hard to ensure that the continent's technology matches that of more advanced countries.
High-speed internet connectivity is regarded as a utility.
As the continent battles diseases like Ebola, social media becomes the preferred method to share information.
People on social media are some of the society's most influential.
To find out more, join me, Phumelele Zondi, on Network every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. only on SABC News.
Let us go to this dolus issue, dolus eventualis and dolus director. What do they actually mean to the ordinary man in the street?
A practical and easy example of dolus eventualis is where two robbers walk into a bank with the intention to rob the bank. They reconcile themselves that should the teller press the panic button, they are going to pull a trigger and kill. So the intention is not to kill, but the intention is basically to rob the bank.
That's Rights and Recourse, Sundays 2 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back to Bophelong, a place of hope, with me, Bophelong Molebatsi. Every year around this time, the message is for us to go out there and get tested for HIV and also to start getting rid of the stigma. We spoke to an expert about whether South Africans are taking heed to that call.
We caught up with Polokgolo Ramotwala, the editor of SA Positive magazine, to give perspective on what is happening in our communities with regards to HIV and AIDS.
The idea is to create a platform where people living with HIV can get information about positive living, share their own personal stories, but also to empower people who've just recently tested that positive to be able to know where to go to. So we'll tell you, when you test positive, this is what you can do. Look out for your CD4 count, which doctors you can go to. So it's a whole range of things that people can read in the magazine. We've done well. Medical advances, we've done well. I think I like to use this example that in 1999, people used to buy medication for 4,000 rands per month. And today you get it for free. People used to take 6-7 pills per day. And now you take 1 pill per day. And there are more people who are accessing treatment in South Africa than any other country in the world. So that we're making a lot of progress. I think in terms of prevention also, there is also a lot more advancements that are coming out that you have options in protecting yourself. So again, in that sense, I believe we've made a lot of progress. Progress enough, I think we still have to see.
This is what Ntimbwe and others have to say to people that still hold on to stigma.
I would call you as a very ignorant person, because ignorance is what is killing the nation. Because number one, if you're not infected, you're affected. The I and the E are affected by one letter, which is the E, which means we're all equal. Because if I stay in your neighborhood, I eat the same food that you eat, I've got the same color blood, who are you to call me that I'm different?
Angibona ukuthi kunesidingo ukuthi abantu bangasaba ukukhuluma nge-HIV because isifo esijwayelekile akumelanga ukuthi ube namahloni ngaso.
Okokuqala kunzima uku-accept that you've got the disease, first of all. Secondly, it's too difficult to let everyone know about the disease that we have.
Nna ke nagana gore batho ha ba tlameha ho tshaba ho bua ka HIV hona jwale goba HIV is le ntho e alafehang.
So what I know is that if ever you don't talk about it now, it's a then you would never ever talk about it. So like people, we're just doing things just to impress people by they are in front of us, really about ourselves.
And as we go through HIV Awareness Month this December, the aim is still to encourage us all to get tested for HIV. But when was the last time you got tested?
This year in June.
I mean, I'm tested for August.
Ka di date tsa September.
Ela ka re khono kriya ntato wa o tshwana le yona go ema mo pepeneneng close to us a re bolelle gore no what happened and go khonne jwang gore atle gore ba fitlhile ngwageng tsa le mo tsona. And I don't think gore no re tla tshimula re tshaba or re tla tshimula o tshaba bolela ka yona.
For those that have already been diagnosed HIV positive, disclosure is another challenge, for some even greater than the diagnosis.
There's two types of disclosure. I do public disclosure, so I don't mind telling you that I have HIV. But there are people who do what we call personal disclosure, where you tell your family member, or you tell your friend or whoever that you trust most. I believe it's beneficial because you don't have to go through it alone.
Aside from getting tested, what should South Africans be thinking about during HIV Awareness Month?
South Africans on World AIDS Day this year, two things. If you have HIV, there should be no shame. You shouldn't be ashamed. You didn't do anything that others did not do. The second thing, if you do not have HIV, you don't want to get HIV. I would say there's too many of us already, but make sure that you protect yourself, because it's not your partner's responsibility, it's your responsibility.
Each and every World Day, it gives me more challenges, because people always, they wonder to say, how have I lived for so long? And I've got to a point to say, it all starts with you. You can choose to live a sad life, or you can choose to live a happy life.
What he's saying and what he's portraying, it's a character that says you are not going to die if you're HIV positive. And you meet a lot of young people who give up, from the day they know that they are positive, they get sick. But he's saying that it's not the end of the world. If you count the number of the years that he has lived, it says a lot for itself.
And that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Do go out there and get tested. And remember to always be safe. You can abstain, be faithful, or use a condom. You can even do a combination of the two. Remember, we are always keen to hear from you. Once again, you can email us, bophelong@sabc.co.za, or you can tweet us. Until next time, from us here on Bophelong, it's a goodbye.